Hello, chemistry students. So this is the last of the dimensional analysis notes videos, and in this particular video I'm going to show you how to work through several dimensional analysis problems. And I appreciate you watching this because you're going to get some added information on how to do some conversions between squared and cubed units. So let's jump into this. I wanted to start off with just kind of a pretty straightforward problem, just so you can see the difference between working this out by hand and working it out with the PowerPoint. So unknown here, we want to know kilograms. The known is the 568 centigrams. The plan, well, we're starting with centigrams, so let's see, centigrams, that's how many things that, well, centi is smaller than a gram, if you remember from the notes, so it's 1 gram equals 100 centigrams, and then that's still not going to get us to kilograms, so we'll need one more step. So kilo, remember, means 1,000, and this is the thing people have a hard time with, is that you have to remember which ones are bigger and smaller than 1. So kilo is bigger than 1 gram, so it's 1,000 grams equals 1 kilogram. All right, so those two conversions will get us where we want to be. So now we're going to solve. All right, so I always start with the known. So I'm going to write 568 and do the train tracks thing here. So centigrams, we'll start off on the bottom of the first conversion, pull this 100 over here, and then pull the 1 gram that it's equal to and put that on top. And units will cancel out here, so the centigrams are going to cancel out. And then we're going to go from grams to kilograms. So over here, grams on the bottom of the next conversion factor, and it's going to be 1,000 grams equals 1 kilogram, and practically that's going to tell me that I want to do 568 times 1 over 100 times 1,000. And I forgot to cross out my grams there, but I can show you that real quick. And I've got an old TI-83 over here, so 568 divided by 100 times 1,000. All right, and there you go. So that's going to equal 0.00568, and that will have the correct number of significant figures, and kilograms is the unit. Now, if you're working on a simpler calculator, that's fine. You could actually just do this. So I think y'all can do 568 times 1 is 568. But then on the bottom, you could just literally plug in 100 times 1,000, and that's 100,000. Not surprisingly. All right, and then you could type in 568 divided by 100,000, and that'll give you the same answer. So that's how I'd recommend you do that if you're working on like a phone calculator or something while you're doing these problems. Now, that's great. Let's do one that's a little bit more complicated, and we'll have to think about just a little bit more. So, when we have squared or cubed units, things get more complicated. Not much more complicated, but a little bit more complicated. So the unknown here, I want to get to centimeters squared. And I'm starting with meters squared. So we're still, we know a conversion between those. So, you look back and you're like, okay, yeah, 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. Great. Sorry, I forgot to put the C there. All right, now, if we start to solve this, though, we're not going to get our centimeters canceled out like we want to. So let me show you that. And I'll actually probably do the solve two different ways on this particular problem. So let's start off with this, 2.38 meters cubed, or meters squared, sorry, I keep saying cubed. All right, now, let's see, there's 1 meter, 100 centimeters. All right, so if we go and try to start canceling out units here, there's a little bit of a problem, right? Because if we have meters squared and meters, well, that only cancels out one of the meters in the meters squared. So really we would have to do this conversion twice to get both of the meters to cancel out. Because, you know, meters times meters, that would give you meters squared. So you've got meters squared on top, meters squared on the bottom, so they would cancel out. So basically that means we'd be doing 2.38 times 100 times 100, and centimeters times centimeters would give us centimeters squared, which is what we want. So that's one way that you could think about this. And the other way that you could think about it, by the way, that would give you, let's see, 2, 3, 8, 0, 0, centimeters cubed, centimeters squared, centimeters squared. All right. Now, the other way we could think about this is algebraically, you know, if we do one thing to one side of the equation, we have to do the same thing to the other side. So if we square both sides of the equation, we're still mathematically accurate, but we're going to have a new conversion once we do that. So this would be, you know, 1 squared is still 1, so that's 1 meter squared. And then that equals 100 centimeters squared. So 100 squared is 1,000. No, 10,000 centimeters squared. All right, so let me show you how we would do if we did our solve with this one. So 1 meter squared equals 10,000 centimeters squared. And you get the same answer either way. So your pick how you want to do it. Either one of those will result in the correct answer. So just do whichever one makes more sense. All right, so let me flip over and we'll do one more problem together. And this one is certainly the most complicated of the problems that we've done so far. So we're going to convert 5 milliliters to millimeters cubed. Okay, so this is something we haven't done before. We haven't converted a unit of liquid volume to a unit of solid volume. We did solid volume to, or excuse me, solid surface area to solid surface area in the previous question, but now we're gonna, and I guess it could be liquid surface, just surface area, but we're doing volume now. So let's look at how this would work. So we're going to end at millimeters cubed, and we're going to start with 5 milliliters. Notice this is meters, that's liters, so you can't just feel like, you know, go between those. All right, now our plan. If you don't know this already, I'm going to tell you now. I think I mentioned it in class to at least, I think I mentioned it in class earlier this week, but anyways, if you're in B group, you haven't heard it yet. That 1 milliliter equals 1 centimeter cubed. Sometimes maybe you see cc's if you're in like a health science class. I'm going to write it this way, but cc and cm cubed mean the same thing, cubic centimeter. All right, so that'll be helpful, but that still doesn't get us to millimeters. Now, let's see, I'm going to, I guess I'll show this in the two-step method. So I definitely know the conversion between centimeters and meters. So let me show you that one. 100 centimeters equals 1 meter. But we're working with cubed stuff, so really we're going to need to cube these things. So let's do that. So that's going to be 1 million or 10 to the 6 centimeters cubed. And this one's still going to be 1. 1 cubed is still 1. All right, so that's great. That'll get us from centimeters cubed to meters, but we want to be at millimeters. So one more conversion here that we'll need. And I'll kind of keep track of the ones we're going to use. So I know that there's 1,000 millimeters in a meter. All right, but we're dealing with cubed stuff. We want millimeters cubed, so let's cube our conversions. All right, and that'll give us 1 billion, or 10 to the 9 millimeters cubed equals 1 meter cubed. So the ones I drew the arrows beside are the ones that we'll actually use when we solve. So let's do that. All right, so I'm going to start with the known, 5 milliliters, and then 1 milliliter equals 1 centimeter cubed. All right, and then 10 to the 6 centimeters cubed equals 1 meter cubed, and 1 meter cubed equals 10 to the 9 millimeters. All right, now let's check our units, make sure everything cancels out here. All right, that's good. Now we need to do some calculator input here. So basically it's going to be 5 times 10 to the 9 divided by 10 to the 6. Okay. And that comes out to 5,000. You could just do the exponents, and that would be a difference of 3, so it would be like 10 to the third on top. 5 times 10 to the third is 5,000. So that's good. All right, so that's how you convert cubed units. And I've got a couple minutes before the time on my video runs out. So I'll just give you something to think about here. And that's this. Let's just pretend that we have a cube. If you're like, why in the world does any of this work? Okay, let's just pretend that we have a cube. And the cube is 1 meter on each side. Okay. So length times width times height. So 1 meter, 1 meter, 1 meter. Now, 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. So if we did the volume of this cube in meters, the volume of the cube would be 1 meter times 1 meter times 1 meter equals 1 meter cubed. If we did the volume in centimeters, it would be 100 centimeters times 100 centimeters times 100 centimeters, and that would be 1,000,000, or 10 to the 6 centimeters cubed. So that conversion that we came up with up here, 10 to the 6 centimeters cubed equals 1 meter cubed, this is an explanation of why that works. So I hope that helps you understand everything. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.